We unfortunately, Kristen wasn't able to join us, but we always like to start a little bit by talking about Kristen's story and why she was so inspired to start Breakaway. Really, so it was 2 years ago that Breakaway was founded in 2019. So we're beginning our third year. But really, as Martin knows and can talk a little bit about here in a minute, Breakaway started a couple years before that with Kristen and her team. So, Kristen has owned an independent practice before and had been in the process of getting ready to start one again. And as she was getting into that process, she just realized how overwhelming this was for individuals. There's so many things to think about, from compliance to staffing to brand to marketing to the technology, which, as we all know, as advisors, there are so many platforms out there, not just for cloud accounting, but for dashboarding and project management and bill pay and receipt recording and all of that. There are so many options out there. And as an independent accountant or CFO or advisor, it's really, really difficult to really sort through all of that. So Kristen really wanted to create a company that solved those problems for the independent advisor. So that was a big part of what she did and why Breakaway began. She really loved serving her clients, but hated the drudgery. And she knew that a lot of the drudgery didn't have to be that way. So Breakaway was born to make it as easy as possible to serve clients and to be able to serve our advisors and make sure that they aren't feeling lonely or sad or unsupported in their work. So Martin, I want to turn it over to you for a minute and see if there's anything that you'd like to add to that story of Breakaway and how we got our start and where we are now.
Yeah, the only thing I would add, the other elements, and Shay, you described it beautifully, is just for those of us who came from firms with a brand name, the power of a brand, the power of saying, I'm an owner in a firm, one of the fastest growing professional services firm in the country, which we are, and the power of Cedric's my partner, and Michelle's my partner, and Linda's my partner, and that you get that, and that's why we're so picky with the advisors we bring in, because you get that extra credibility. You write for the brand, and the brand writes for you. So and which, again, since we're, to give Shay credit, that's a lot of Shay's fingerprints are on that brand, but we act bigger than we are, and already we're good size, but we will continue to do that and be brand forward.
Thank you, Martin. And we'll talk a little bit more about brand as we go on, but again, it is really this core underpinning of what we do and why our advisors are happy here at Breakaway. So again, we are Breakaway Bookkeeping and Advising, and bookkeeping is one of our core services that we offer to our clients, but really we hope that our clients come to us for so much more than that. The majority of our advisors are fractional CFOs and really serve the clients in that way at that really, really high level. And they're supported by their teams, what we call blended shore teams, which are both onshore and offshore employees, which we'll also talk a little bit more about. So we offer so much more than just your traditional bookkeeping outfit. And this is what allows us to grow and scale, and for each of our advisors to keep morphing and getting into bigger and bigger engagements. So I do want to call on Rick. I don't know if he saw on Slack today that I was going to call people out if they showed up today. But Rick, I was wondering if you could just talk a little bit about what drew you to Breakaway and what are some of the advantages that you've had being with Breakaway, and maybe what's a goal that you're working towards as Breakaway advisor.
Okay. Having worked as a CFO, working for small to medium-sized companies, probably about 6 years ago, I started to kind of get that feeling of, there's something more that I want to be doing. There's something a little bit different than I want to be doing. And I had actually started to kind of look for this model, where you can be out there and be a part-time CFO, help with accounting, help with strategy, help advising, where you're feeling a little bit more valued than just that one particular client. So I looked around, I scoured around, I talked to other companies, but there was just never, I could just never get that fit and that feeling. And I couldn't put my hand on it, other than the one thing that really struck me is that they, each one of them that I talked to, it was more about training you to be kind of a lone wolf and by yourself. Mm-hmm. And at the time, that wasn't really resonating with me very much. And I said, okay, I'm not really interested in doing that. And then just happened to be, scouring LinkedIn one day and saw Martin had a post on there. Martin and I have been friends for 30 years and worked together for a long time. And I just saw this breakaway thing and I'm like, what is that? And so I just asked him, I said, what are you doing? And then as he started to describe it, I'm like, all right, now this is interesting. And so he and I sat down, and then he and I and Kristen sat down. And what attracted me the most at that time was that I'm going to be able to do this with other professionals and leverage their skills, and they can leverage my skills, and the marketing behind this, and the name behind this, and the real push to get you successful. Again, I hadn't experienced that before, and I've worked in CPA firms, and then again tried to find a firm like that, but they just don't exist. I mean, it just doesn't happen. And so that was my initial, gut feeling. And, there was kind of this big sigh of relief when we had those conversations. Martin and Kristen and I met for a drink, and I could tell immediately, it's like, okay, now this is going to be a good fit for where I'm at and what I want to do. Mm-hmm. And it's blossomed into that. And it's been, it's certainly been better than what I would have expected from that. Within 3 months, I was kind of like, whoa, this is, okay, I got to get my head around all this. It was too much. It was, there's so many opportunities out there that every day it blows my mind how many opportunities there are out there. And we're like at 1% of what we, could be, right? Maybe not just as individuals, but just as a collective. Mm-hmm. And having that freedom to kind of do it the way I want to do it, but having the leverage to be able to, know that I can call Lopez and say, all right, Lopez, you and I've worked together on a couple things. We have different styles, and I need some help here. Can we talk about this? And we'll have those conversations. And likewise, she calls me. And so what I've noticed is that I have a much stronger feeling of value for my clients now than I ever would have in any sort of job. And I've got the freedom to kind of do what I want to do and work with who I want to work. I work with people that I like. And if I don't like them, then I'm not going to work with them. And likewise, I don't want them to work with me. And from a work-life balance, obviously, it's up to you as an individual how you want to do that. You could put in 20 hours a week if you wanted to, or you're 100 hours a week, and that's entirely up to you. But I'm at the age where I want that balance, and I get that balance. And when, Joe comes over to Sun River, we're going to go biking. That's going to happen, even if it's at 2:00 in the afternoon on a Thursday. We're going to do that. Yeah. That's important to me. So.
Thank you, Rick. I so appreciate you sharing that. It means so much to us. I mean, my heart was getting the warm fuzzies when you were telling your story. But, I always just want to celebrate Rick because I love how he shows up both as a mentor to our other advisors, but also is always open to showing up and being vulnerable and being like, hey, I have a question about this or that. And I think that really helps all of our advisors feel more able to show up in our community. And, Rick had our first breakaway grandbaby. So we were really excited to celebrate that this past year and appreciated him sharing that with our group and his cohort. So thank you, Rick. I think that really puts us into a great position to hand it over to our wonderful Michelle Lopez, who is our COO and a founder as well, to talk about our Breakaway community and what that means.
Yes, Rick, thanks so much for the warm intro for community, a pillar of Breakaway. And we all appreciate this, I think. The fact that we work for ourselves, but not by ourselves. And this really is how we live and grow with each other. Oftentimes we refer to the collective advisors as the hive, and that we don't just bring what's between our two ears to our clients, but what we all bring to the table collectively at Breakaway, because we can always reach out and ask for help or information or knowledge. So what that can look like is when you join Breakaway, you're matched up with a cohort and you meet every single week to learn about some of our processes and procedures, our scalability options and tech, and you really get to know your team, not just on a professional level, but a personal level. Kind of as Rick said, he had our first Breakaway grandbaby, but we've had Breakaway weddings, we've had Breakaway pregnancies, we've had Breakaway engagements, and all of these things are not outside the scope of what we celebrate as being whole people and celebrate as the Breakaway community. We have cohort meetings targeted at CFO level advisory. We have cohort meetings targeted at advisory and bookkeeping, and those really dive deep into some potentially tech or processes or any new advisory suggestions relating to those offerings with those targeted clients. Yeah, so it's really great. We've learned to bridge the gap between just professional relationships, and it's just become a really well-rounded relationship altogether. So that's really the highlight of being a part of Breakaway community.
Awesome. Thank you, Michelle. So now this is where we talk a little bit more about our brand, what that looks like. Martin talked a little bit about it at the beginning, and I'll have him talk a little bit more, but we are just so, and I'm probably tooting my own horn a little bit here, but we are really proud of our marketing and what we've been able to do. I'm going to shout out Michelle Lopez, who just got invited to speak at the Accounting Web Conference in San Diego, talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion. And we're so, so proud of her. We have had advisors in all different kinds of national publications, and we provide our advisors all of those brand building blocks that they can post that on their social media, share it with their friends and colleagues in whatever way resonates with them, and that they can continue to build on that name. So we love being able to provide that to our advisors. But anyway, this is, Martin, so I want to give him an opportunity to chat a little bit more about it.
So I forgot that I was, so I already basically shared the power of the brand, so I'll just repeat. And it comes from, there's a few of us, actually, even on this call, who work for big national firms. And the secret of the big national firm is I'll put Lopez up against anyone from Deloitte or from KPMG and show and schools around them, other than the fact that they have that big old Deloitte, and that's why the hat, the shirt, the golf ball, everything. So when we created Breakaway, we knew that we wanted a really strong brand, because and I'm looking at Rick nodding his head, Joe nodding his head, right? Coming from that environment where you'd be like, then you're like, well, I'm so the more advisors we get, the more outreach we get. And if you were to look on, I think on our website somewhere, Shay has all the places we've been mentioned, Accounting Today and Forbes and Entrepreneur Magazine. And so when you're walking to a client, again, you're not just saying, hey, I'm Martin, I'm trying to do this on my own. You're saying, I'm an owner at Breakaway, and let me tell you about the company. And so leaning on a brand can just drastically and dramatically improve your client acquisition success. And again, the bigger we grow, the better that brand will become. So we're very excited about it.
Awesome. Thank you, Martin. Appreciate it. So the next kind of pillar that we have of Breakaway, and it's been fun because this is something that Michelle Lopez and I have really been talking a lot about in 2022, and that is the ability of our individual advisors to scale. And there are kind of two, I'm sure we'll think of a better word for it, but sub pillars under scalability. And that is our technology and our blended shore teams. And Michelle is going to talk a little bit about those and what they've been able to do for her and for other advisors.
Yeah, so one of the reasons that I joined Breakaway is the idea of scalability was a must. You know, Clockwork is a big book right now out there, and it's all about creating systems to scale. So we have many options, not just one, but multiple, to grow your business. Another thing that is amazing for leaning into efficiencies is utilizing technologies. Now, these change every single day, all the time. We can't, as individuals, keep tabs on these like our team can. We have a Slack channel dedicated to technology and what that does for us. We meet, you know, at least weekly, sometimes more than one time a week, and we bring up technology in conversation. We really lean in and lean onto that to assist us to help facilitate our client service. Now, the other element of that is the blended shore team. Now, what that means is we have a couple different options that have undergone our really rigorous security, and their abilities we know are tried and tested. We use a team in India, and they really are a team. We know them by name, we know their families, we communicate with them all the time. And that is one part that we could use to scale. Another is our really great partnership with Cadencia out of Guadalajara. They're amazing. I have an amazing teammate from Guadalajara, and I'm so grateful for her. And another element is we have templates and resources, as well as people on our team that utilize independent contractors. So what scalability looks like to you is very bespoke, and we can help speak into you and talk to you about options as your advisory practice grows.
Awesome. Thank you, Michelle. And since you did mention our Cadencia team, this is where we are sourcing accountants and admin staff from Guadalajara. So I just would love if Michelle Cervantes and Sophia could just say hi really quickly, just your name and maybe where you went to school and how you're serving Breakaway. I'm going to call on Cervantes first.
Okay, hello everyone. I'm Cervantes. I'm part of the Cadencia Guadalajara team. Currently studying I'm an engineer right now, and I'm working with Michelle Lopez. She's amazing, honestly, and I'm serving as her admin assistant, but it's been more than that, honestly. So it's amazing to be able to not only help her with her everyday tasks, but to grow with her as well.
And Michelle is like an incredible project manager, so we're all like very jealous of Michelle Lopez. And then Sophia, just quickly, can you say hi too, please?
Hi, my name is Sophia Bernal. I am the executive assistant for Martin, Shay, and Kristen. And being part of this Breakaway family is like one of the greatest joys for everyone that can be in the team. Yeah.
Great, thank you, Sophia. So if you are a potential new advisor, you are probably going to get emails from both Michelle Cervantes and Sophia Bernal. So they are our amazing team members, and they help keep all of this running. So definitely keep an eye out for them. If you join Breakaway and you are looking to hire in Guadalajara, Sophia is also your go-to for that. All right, so moving on, you're probably thinking, okay, is Breakaway right for me? And am I right for Breakaway? So we have really developed a strong sense of what makes a successful Breakaway advisor, and there are certain attributes. And when you first emailed and probably heard back from Sophia, she sent you our leadership principles. And actually, Sophia, would you mind popping those in the chat, please? I'd love for everybody, all of our potential advisors, to take a look at those. They were really crafted over a long period of time. We really believe in them, but in short, advisors who are successful are going to believe in the power of sharing and leaning in. So our advisors give as much as they get. And you really saw that, I think, in Rick's chat with us earlier. Our advisors are committed to client service. They are naturally curious. They're not afraid when we're like, so guess what? New cloud accounting software, everybody, let's dig in. That excites them. If Kristen were here, she would say they're nerds. And we definitely all are big accounting nerds, even me, and I am not an accountant by trade, but I love learning about everything that's out there. Again, we're challenging the status quo. We're comfortable with change. We're self-motivated, we're passionate, and we really, really, really believe in this mission of bringing joy. And we talk a lot about bringing joy to accounting and what that means to an industry that really, in a lot of ways, is broken, right? That we've heard all of these things about the Great Resignation and people are leaving these accounting firms in droves. And we want to say, hey, we're offering something different and something joyful, both for ourselves and for our clients. So I just want to open it quickly to Michelle or Martin, our fellow founders, if there's anything that they would like to add before we open it up to the floor for questions.
The only thing, Rick, buddy, you did such a lovely job, so thank you. And that it's humbling to watch this grow and to see everybody taking the kind of the raw, like, congratulations, you're a breakaway advisor, and making it their own. And that's what's really unique about us as a firm, is that you get to define what success looks like to you, and then we will band together to help make it so.
Great. All right. So I would love, I know we've got mostly current advisors on here today, a couple brand new ones. And then Lindsay, thank you for joining us. So just want to give you all the opportunity now, if anybody has any questions, to share them with the group.